When you introduce yourself, and I'm only picking on you because I can remember these two issues as based on what we've been hearing. Number one is, well, a lot of veterans, when they come out, they're lacking confidence. And what we're doing, you know, Jesse, when you invented this with Nick, I mean, I don't think you understood the sort of, I call them the healthy benefits of this. That, you know, I'm lost and now I'm found. I have self-confidence. I know what I can do. I'm believing myself. We didn't really think of the holistic view, and that's happening. And the other, Conor, is the sense of alienation that veterans have on campus. You know, again, Columbia is not a good example because there are so many of you. And you're kind of a fish out of water in a way. And so everybody can talk about that, but kind of go right ahead.
Cool. So to your first note, the sense of isolation that you feel when you get out, it's very prevalent. As Mr. London mentioned, I'm kind of an outlier when it comes to what it's like to be a veteran in an Ivy League institution. I started school originally at Montclair State University right across the river in New Jersey, where I'm from. When I started in January 2017, there were about 60 veterans on campus, and I knew none of them. I was the stereotypical veteran wearing the Molly backpack, looking angry all the time, and just being completely out of place as a 23-year-old in the classroom. Everyone else there was just there. It seemed like the next logical progression for them. They were just, nobody really tried in class, nobody really cared too much about their education except for, you know, the one or two outliers in each class. So I was in a really, really dark spot. Mr. London will tell you, when I teach a class for Warrior Scholar, there's two things I always start out with on Sunday morning. I tell the students, one of you is the smartest one in this room and you just don't know it yet, and I fully credit Warrior Scholar Project saving my life. And I fully credit Warrior Scholar Project saving my life. So winter of 2017, that semester at Montclair was really rough with me. I had no real sense of direction in life. College was my next logical progression. I was taking care of a terminally ill parent. My other stepfather, he was a quadriplegic. So I was doing this juggling game of family responsibility and trying to make something out of myself at a university that I didn't feel like I belonged in. So one day I was just sitting there like Googling help, for lack of a better term, because, you know, the VA doesn't necessarily provide that. So yeah, I just stumbled on Warrior Scholar Project and I saw something about like Yale and I was like, cool, what do I have to lose at this point? It was 2 weeks out of my life in the summer. So calling up, the head of HR answers at the time, this really nice lady, Liz Butlin, class is full. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna send you an email every week until I get into this class because I guarantee you somebody's gonna drop. And she says, all right, cool. So 2 weeks later, she's like, cool, we got you a spot. So yeah, I remember sitting in class with John Lewis Gaddis, Pulitzer Prize winner up at Yale. We're talking about Thucydides, or Herodotus, and I made one point about comparing it to like North Korea and like, you know, some grand strategy type stuff, and there was like a 10-second dead silence. This guy's looking at me and I'm like, oh crap, I said something really dumb. And he goes, that's a great point, I never thought about that. And like the back of my head I'm like, dude, I'm an idiot, what are you talking about? So I remember just leaving that room like elated, like a couple guys patted me on the back. They're like, dude, that was awesome, like that's a really cool point. So, you know, to Mr. London's original point about like this breeding like a sense of purpose and a sense of community, like, you know, after that, like I hit the ground running. I went back to Montclair. I started a student veteran association. I became a school mascot because why the hell not? Like, you know, there's no veteran who's ever been a school mascot. It's a great point in a networking event, right? But no, it was actually awesome. Like I met so many people through that one position alone that like, you know, they were like, oh wait, you're a veteran? Like nobody even understood that I was in the service because they thought I was just another college student. So it became like this like really neat experience of having to reveal something about myself, and it created like a sense of intimacy like on that campus, and I was able to like leverage being a school mascot with creating this like network of veterans on that campus. So, you know, I hit the ground running right after that at Montclair, got a 4.0 GPA, straight A's, school mascot, student veteran association. I was the head of the suicide hotline there too, and I got accepted into Columbia, and ever since then, like Warrior Scholar's been my bread and butter. I've been doing this for 3 years now. Like I'm a 2-time fellow. I was there and I was at Yale in summer of 17, and the 7 guys that I went through this program with, like the point that Ryan made, that group chat, that's about me. So my father passed away last spring. 5 of those guys who are now at Columbia, who were not at Columbia when I went through Warrior Scholar, they came to my father's funeral because that's the type of people that this program attracts, and those are the type of people who will hold you up. And I fully credit Warrior Scholar with all that. So that was really long-winded, and I apologize, but
Conor is, he talks about being a fellow. I don't think anybody graduates this program without wanting to give back, and Conor has given back tremendously, and I thank you for that. He comes back every summer and teaches the next class. And the other thing, Conor, when you're talking about John Lewis Gaddis, we're at MIT, and being in the classroom with Rainier Weiss, who actually won the Nobel Prize in 2017, and our men and women are sitting there going toe-to-toe with him, and they walk out of there, they are elated, and they say, I can do this. And it's just an extraordinary feeling of self-confidence and self-worth. Elliott.
Yeah, to your points, really quickly, by the way, I'm Elliott. I graduated from the Warrior Scholar Project in 2015 at the University of Michigan. I graduated from Columbia University last year, which is where I went to, obviously, after the WSP. But to your points of confidence and alienation, I think the biggest takeaway that I had from WSP was a sense of confidence to be able to compete academically with people that might have been better prepared than I was for university. The first person I met actually was Ryan, who was my director then in 2015, and enlisted Marine like myself, and going to law school, a great law school, and it really resonated with me, thinking that I could actually pursue something more than I had originally planned for myself. On top of that, being able to interact with faculty, interacting with other people that are also as determined as I wanted to be, was really beneficial for me, and the WSP really provided that. As far as alienation, being on campus, Graham had mentioned it earlier. There's like a couple WSPers in here that are some of my closest friends, and it's a network that you have for really for the rest of your life, just like you have your brothers and sisters in the service. I think the brothers and sisters that I've met in WSP will always be there for me.
But Elliott, how about the integration though beyond the veterans in the student community? How does that go? Do you have difficulty communicating with them and they with you?
Yeah, it can be challenging at times. I think it's going to vary from person to person. Those that are more outgoing are going to be able to be able to acclimate easier to traditional students on campus. Using WSP, having been accepted to the program and being able to interact with other students that were at Michigan, in my case, was really beneficial to kind of practice, I guess, in a way, leveling with other people that may have different experiences than you. As veterans getting out, you think that, man, I'm older, I can't really connect maybe with someone that's younger than me, but the WSP really kind of sets you up in order to integrate into a university after you leave the program.
I'm going to introduce Dilia in a minute. I want to say a couple of things about Dilia. Dilia had an unusual path. She was already at Columbia and then came to WSP. And we found early on when we were doing this that we were trying to get men and women when they were in active service, active duty, or coming right out. Because if they had made the step, Delia was already at Columbia, which was a fabulous place, but a lot of men and women had already been using their GI Bill money. And then they came to us and they realized what they could do, and they were down in their account, basically. And that was difficult. So we were trying to get people earlier and earlier in the process. Some of the schools, like Princeton and Amherst, and there are a couple of others, they say, you're a veteran, you're here, we're paying for everything. Columbia can't do that because they have 477 veterans. One other thing I want to say about Delia is she actually works with us, and she does more than work with us. She shines for us. She runs she's our program coordinator, and she has a 5-year-old daughter. She has a husband who's getting a master's. Delia's getting a master's, yet we're going to be on 20 campuses at least next summer, and she has to coordinate all of these campuses. When are we going to be there? How are we going to be there? How are we going to get dorm rooms? How are we going to get classroom space? Who's going to teach that? She does all of this. So, I mean, besides being one of our great alums, she's our superstar staff person. Thank you, Dilia. Go ahead.
Good morning, everyone. So, as Mark mentioned, my name is Dilia Introini, and I went through the WSP program 2016 at Harvard while I was, it was my junior summer. And basically, I went through it because I was struggling. I am a first-generation college student, and although I had been there already for 2 years, It was hard. When I first got to Columbia, after 11 years in the Marine Corps, I realized I need at least a small detail of Marines to delegate all this reading to, that they're expecting me to do, and all of a sudden, I'm alone and I have to do it by myself. My experience at Columbia was a little different because I was a new mom, so my priority was get to class and get home so I can be with my daughter. And so I didn't have the traditional experience as the other veterans do, but it is lovely that you make it what you want. You can be as involved as you want to or as little, but when I heard about WSP, I knew that I needed to find something that could help me. And so I went to WSP, and it completely transformed my experience as a student. I completely turned around my game. I realized how to work smarter, not harder, with all these different reading tips that the fellows can share about, and just different ways to manage your time that I was clueless about because I never had anyone in my family pursue college, so there was no one to kind of mentor me when it came to that. And so, like everyone says, after WSP, I drank the juice, fell in love, was very passionate about what they do, and realized that I could give back and do something for other veterans that were, a few steps behind me to help them, and ideally help them see that they could use or be more beneficial for them to go to WSP before starting their academic goals. And also, most importantly, I was very fortunate that I got into Columbia, but my other school, because who does this? I only applied to 2 schools. The other school option was Brooklyn College, so obviously my choice was easy. But I would hate to have wasted my GI Bill at another institution. So I was very fortunate. But yes, definitely felt lost and alienated as soon as I got to campus. I was 30 when I got to campus, so it's funny to hear Elliott say he was old. I felt really, really old, and I was a mom, so it was very different. But I was very fortunate that after WSP, for example, right now the president of the veteran group at Columbia is a WSP alum that her and I attended Harvard together. So it's a full circle, and it's a great community to be part of.
Delia, we're also, and you're strongly part of this, we're trying to attract more and more female veterans. We're running at about 20%, which is about reflective of what the service is. We, again, we're all about diversity too, and having women veterans in the classroom is really important to us. And Delia's been really strong in helping us out. In summer of 2018, was it?
That's right.
I went to, I try to go to as many campuses as I can every summer. I mean, I have shaken hands with 700 of the 1,250 alums, which is a great, great privilege that I've had. And I saw some guy who looked like a deer in the headlights sitting at the University of Pennsylvania, and he has become one of our real superstar alums. Jorge, go right ahead.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Jorge. I was born in Cuba. I moved to Miami at a young age, like most Cubans do, and I was raised there. And growing up, I kind of grew up in a shiesty neighborhood. I never really paid attention to academics. It wasn't something that I found fulfilling. But the joke was on me, right? Because here I am getting out of the service, and now I have to attend Columbia University. And so, before attending Columbia University, I attended the WSP program at University of Pennsylvania, and it was beyond helpful. And so in the summer of 2019, I decided to return as a fellow and pay back a huge debt that I felt like I had to return, right? And so the program has been super helpful for me to succeed at Columbia University. And here I am, an immigrant, a first-generation college student, and I'm doing well. I'm holding my own ground, right? And that speaks volumes about what the program does and how the program helps veterans to succeed. Because I would have never thought that I could be here in New York City or in Columbia University, pretty much following my dreams, right? So it's been very helpful. To speak on alienation on campus, we've all kind of touched on it a little bit differently, but here I was, 31 years old. I don't have a hair on my head. I stand out like a sore thumb, and I had to, it was tough, kind of connecting with 18-year-old traditional students who are essentially prodigies. Columbia University is an Ivy League university. It is not an easy university, and so if it wasn't for WSP, I'm not sure how I would have been able to hold my ground.
Conor, we had breakfast like this in Chicago last week, and somebody said, well, what about the VA? Why aren't they doing the transitional work? And somebody said, well, let's talk about the VA. If there's a word worse than terrible in the English language, that would be it. What about other transition opportunities, and how do you compare us to them?
Yeah, you guys are pretty much the only transition opportunity that I've found. There's some other services out there that are pretty great, like Service to School, for example, which helps with your application process. But nothing is as intuitive or life-changing as Warrior Scholar is, in my opinion, that at least I found. Because, yeah, when I graduated high school, I didn't get into a single college or university. I was rejected from everyone. And I go to an Ivy League school now. I'm a first-generation college student at an Ivy League school. And you could have asked me that when I was 18, people would have laughed. But to your point about the VA, like, you know, the transition assistance program, or the process you go through when you separate, this might be a little outdated now because I separated in October 2016, but they stuck us in a classroom for 2 days and they were like, hey, go on this website and sign up for the GI Bill. And I was like, sure, okay, I guess I'll do that. I ended up calling Montclair State because I lived down the street from them, and I was like, hey, I'm a veteran, I'm trying to get in. And they're like, cool, just submit an application and you'll be in. So my process was a little different than most folks, because like I know some men and women who have gotten out and been deer in the headlights. No idea what to do, how to do it, and yeah, I mean, if it weren't for Warrior Scholar, like, those people would not be in Ivy League schools, would not be like future leaders of America, essentially. So the VA is kind of, like, it has its benefits for everyone, obviously, in its own ways, but when it comes to helping veterans get out and access their educational benefits, more people go to for-profit institutions than actual college, so, yeah.
Elliott, people say, well, heck, you know, how can you do this in a week, which is our humanities, and sometimes we run that second week with STEM. How do we do it in a week?
That's a great question. I don't know how you guys do it. It's really intense. I remember when I was accepted to the program, I was totally ecstatic. Didn't really know what to expect, except that in, you know, some of the marketing materials, it was an academic boot camp. And I thought, oh, I've been through boot camp, actual boot camp. You know, what is this going to be? And I remember showing up the first day. I don't think we went to bed till 1 a.m. And this is just me. It's like the entire class. It's because, you know, we're working so hard. We're actually like learning tangible skills that we can apply when we actually go to university. Yeah, the program is just, it's constantly, you learn so much during a week. It's actually kind of, it's very surprising. And when I actually was asked to do this, I kind of was reflecting on my time at the WSP, which was back in 2015. And you know, it took me all these years to actually kind of even realize how much impact it had. Because at the time, you're just, you know, you're working 80 hours a week, like what Ryan said. But yeah.
And what do we do every week? We do Declaration of Independence, we do the Constitution, we do Huradas, de Tocqueville. Go ahead.
We like to simulate what it would be like to be in finals week at a real college campus. And just to touch on the previous question that you asked, Mark, I remember someone this summer saying to me, you know, at the end of the 1 week program and realizing I basically got a dry run on my college experience. And I mean, who wouldn't like to practice at something, you know, before you actually do it? And I'm actually kind of jealous of that, because in hindsight, if I would have gone to WSP before Columbia, then I probably wouldn't have wasted so much time doing terrible studying habits that I didn't know any better. So I just feel like that's the special thing that we do, that we give veterans a kind of a no pressure environment to kind of make mistakes, you know, try things out. They try out different study skills that the fellows share that work for them. It might not work for everyone, but it's that space. You're at Harvard, you're at Princeton, practicing these things that are going to make you successful. And then when you get to whatever institution that you choose to go to, you know what's going to work. You've tried it out, you know what it's like, and you know that you can do it because you survived that 80-week intense boot camp this semester. But yes, the mornings start with breakfast, and then they have a study group that the fellows lead, where they discuss the materials that they read the night before in preparation to the seminar, where they'll be with that one faculty member from the institution discussing these topics that I always like hearing the fellows and the participants share how they're realizing how relevant these texts are to us veterans. And the lectures, in my opinion, at least the 5 campuses that I attended this past summer, were always so full of energy and dynamic conversations where surprisingly everyone participates. And I don't think even at grad school right now at Columbia, not everyone participates. That's just not common. But our veterans are so excited to be present in that moment that they participate. And then after that, we break for lunch. Usually the lecturers will join us and kind of connect with the participants, which is really a treat. I mean, we got to spend some time with Daniel Allen, which I'm still kind of floored about. And then after that, there's the writing workshop, which takes place from 1 to 4 p.m. And they're kind of honing in on those writing skills like Nate mentioned. And then after that, it's more studying and other kind of discussions to kind of help them put it all together. But it's very intense.
And then, Jorge, we are starting a community college initiative. We're going into about 3 per semester. We're giving everybody sort of a strong one day. We're trying to do that to recruit men and women to come to our main program. At Saddleback, we got 18 of the 20. And if we don't succeed by getting them to come to our program, we've given them a great one day. And Jorge, you're a graduate of community college, huh?
Yes. So last Friday, as a matter of fact, I had the opportunity to go to Harrisburg Community College in Pennsylvania, and we did a one-day crash course of what we do during the entire week. And it's so helpful because one thing that happens as veterans, and we've talked about it all morning long, right? Veterans kind of lack the confidence to go into a rigorous academic institution, right? So oftentimes our plan coming out of the military is, hey, you know what, I'll get my foot in the water, I'll go to a community college first, and then I'll apply or I'll transfer to a big school. And one cool thing, I guess, I can segue into about Warrior Scholar is that, you know, when participants show up on Saturday, that's their plan. Their plan is to get out of the military, to maybe, you know, kind of warm up to an education at a community college. But when they leave by Sunday, they already have 3 going applications for Ivy League institutions. You know, their confidence is boosted. And that's what the CCOI, this outreach allows us to do at these community colleges. It allows us to reach these veterans who have already begun at community colleges, which isn't a negative thing by any means, but it allows us to let them know that there's a lot more that they can do. There's schools that want them for their traits that they learned in the military and things of that nature. So yeah, it's a great outreach program.
Well, thank you. So time is short. You have a sense of who we are and what we do. This summer, if all goes well, we're going to be at 20 campuses. We just recently got into Caltech. Caltech has 0 veterans, 0 in the student body. And they're going to see 15 to 20 of us there, and they're going to want some of them. And we're going to sort of integrate the Caltech population, which is going to be great. We have, as you hear, we have the humanities program virtually everywhere. And then we tack on the STEM program at 7 campuses. We've started STEM Alone at MIT this year. We're going to do STEM Alone at Caltech, see how that works. We tacked on a business initiative program at USC last year. We're going to expand that this year, either here at Columbia or at Georgetown. And then we have a proposal into Microsoft to tack on a computer sciences week with them. I think it's 47% of the men and women who come to see us, they have a STEM proclivity, and so we're trying to address that. And 20%, I think, are wanting to do business. Anyway, so that's what we do. We need your support. I mean, you showed up at 7:30 in the morning here at a wonderful place, and that's a statement of appreciation that we all have for you. Thank you for meeting our veterans, thank you for meeting our program, and thank you for our board and Glenn for everything you all do. So have a great day, and